People, it's Dragon back with you. I have to put this video out. I have to do this. I don't even know what I should name this thing. I had a name for it, and I just forgot plumb about it. I don't know what it is. It's just it covers an area that let's call it. I'm going to call it projection. Okay, I'm going to call it projection because you'll see why. Okay, and by the way, my Gmail is Dragon Speaks for You with a number 4 and a letter U at gmail.com. And the videos on YouTube at Dragon Speaks for You with the number 4 and the letter U. First of all, I want to address two entities. And one's the dark side and one's the light. Okay? There's only two. There's no in between. There's a lot of folks trying to walk the fence, okay? But I've got to put it this way: you're making fools of yourself because there is no fence. There is no fence. You can't walk the fence. You see a guy walking a tightrope, well, that's how you look. But walking the fence, a little bit on this side, a little bit on that side. There is no fence. You are what you are. Okay. Now, first of all, with you folks playing the dark side, okay? You folks playing the black arts and all this stuff to attack Earth angels, or to attack chosen ones, or to attack people of light. Okay, I've got to say this, and I don't get why you don't understand it. Stubbornness, jealousies, hate, whatever it may be, it's all comes from malice of the heart, man. It's not, and what you're trying to do is not feasible. It's not feasible, but you don't get it. You don't understand it. It's like beating a dead horse. It's just not going to get up and run, man. As the saying goes, that dog won't hunt. It's not a hunting dog. It's just not going to hunt. And you can't beat the spirit. You can't beat the spirit. This is the spirit of the Almighty, man. You're just not going to beat it. And there's only one solution. There's only one solution, and that's full surrender. There's a word in the Bible. Okay. Yes, I'm always going to refer to the Bible, okay? Because the Lord was the greatest of all comebacks. He was the greatest comeback. It's so impressive to me, because didn't have to do much. Didn't have to do much of anything, really. Just to shut everything down. Didn't have to do much of anything. But he had comebacks to everything people had. But, he says, they come up to him and try to tell him about how holy they were. And, some of you people go to church and you do all this stuff, but then you're doing all this demonic stuff when you're not in there. I mean, how do you put that together, and you're thinking it. It's, even if you're not doing the actions and you stop doing the actions, you're thinking it. You're thinking the things, and you're feeling the things. You're projecting those things, these dark, negative things, and this is, you just went to church, so-called your holy place. This, I don't know what it does for you. It's making you holy for the week, or what does it do? If you're not projecting the spirit, then you're going backwards, or standing still. You're stuck in the mud. You're part of the mud. You are the mud. And you don't understand that. So, the Lord says, why you're trying to clean the cup. You're wiping that cup clean. It's so beautiful and bright and shiny on the outside, but You should concern yourself, he says, with the inside of the cup. That's what matters, not the outside of the cup. Okay. Now, along those lines, you want to be this. You want to be this. This. Uh, Try to show this falsehood of this power of light. Okay, which you're not truly feeling. Okay, so you can't really express it. All right. So, but along those lines, if you're trying to show this beauty on the outside, but the inside is dirty. Okay. So that needs to be cleansed. That's the work. That's the hard part. And that's the part that matters. Okay. Not the outside. So, to look as you do and to act like you do and to walk in this world with, the things that happen and the things you're going to do, uh, the negative things you do or the positive things you do, those really don't matter. They really don't matter. It's part of this life. It's part of this flesh this flesh is flawed. It's always going to be flawed. It's never going to be in perfection, but your spirit is. Your spirit is within you and your spirit is flawless. But the only way that you is to show that is to believe and to reach in and express it so it comes out, there's a lot of ugliness in people that'll show. There's so much ugliness inside that'll show on the outside. And when they speak, when you speak, uh, you know, there's a poetic flow. There's a poetic flow to a speech, and it either is or it's not. You can't work it, and pick the words to make it that. If that makes any sense to you, it just is. So when you speak it, it just has its own flow, and it's poetic. It's a poetic flow. Back in the day that some of you are trying to step away from that know me and known me for many many years and known Dragon. You know, it way back. I learned about dragon speech, and that's dragon speech, and it's you can't break from it. You can't break from it. When it starts to speak, you got to listen. You got to hear it because just even if you don't believe the words that are being said, it's the flow. Okay. Does that make sense to you? It's the flow of the speech. The flow of the speech holds you mesmerized, and you can try to break it. You can try to break and go, but you're going to miss out. And you know that. You feel it. You feel something. Something's telling you, I'm going to miss out if I don't hear this. That's what I'm talking about. But it comes out naturally. You understand? You can't write the script. You can't pick the words and put them in there. It becomes fake. It can't be fake. It's got to be what it is. And I'm just trying to help you. I mean, you want to practice the dark arts and you want to go play all them games, that's fine. But you might as well play, tiddlywinks or whatever, because it's futile. It's futile. The word is futile. So, and you cheapen yourself. Okay. Now, you want to go along with that. Sooner or later, you're going to be in a hole so deep, a karmic hole so deep that you're not going to be able to get out, and it's just going to pay and pay and pay. And the Lord says every knee will bow. You're going to break. You're going to break, regardless of what you think, and regardless of how strong you think you are. It does not matter. I don't care if you're demonic. I don't care if you're the devil himself. You're going to break, and you're going to bow, and you're going to hit the knee. You're going to do it. It's going to happen. So why not do it now and get out of that and get yourself a better life and project peace and project love? We'll be able to walk into a room, man. And I'm going to get to this when I get to the other side we're talking here. All right. You got to be able to walk into a room and, and not change that, not change and change the narrative of the room. Okay. But not change it into a sexual nature, man. You understand me? Some of you are using that, and you're casting these spells and all this other stuff to manipulate people with a sexual nature. You come at them to it with a sexual nature. That's a dime a dozen, man. That's a dime a dozen. That doesn't make you special. It doesn't make you special. You know, it's a dime a dozen. It's more than a dozen. It's everywhere. It's all over. It's free. you know, it's you're not collecting. You're getting nothing from it. You got to rob and steal. When things can be freely given in an abundance. But you're not seeing that. You think you got to rob and steal and take it, and because you're selfish and you're greedy. That's what it is. So I'm just telling you the truth. You don't like it, it's too bad. But that's the truth, and you can stay stuck in that if you want. Okay, but I just got to express it. I got to get it off my chest, man, because I've just come through some. I just came out of, took a long trip, and I was led and I was compelled to take this trip. And I really didn't know what it was about. There was different reasons and excuses, which I felt inside it wasn't really what it was about. But I took it because I was compelled by the Spirit to take this trip. A 6-hour trip, and I ended up in somewhere in Louisiana. And there's a lot. If any of you know about Louisiana, there's a lot of darkness there, man. There's a lot of beautiful people, but there's a lot of darkness, a lot of weird things going on where some of you are picking up some of you that practicing these dark arts are practicing them from there that have been for decades and decades, eons. Okay. And I know it. And I'm walking right through the middle of it. All right. Now, you'd have to see. I'm going to talk to the collectives. I'm going to talk to the powers of light. All right. I want to talk to the powers of light. So we're switching over. We're doing a little transaction here, a little transforming into a different, same speech, different, touching different entities. This is the light. Okay. It's amazing how you can walk into and feel all this darkness, okay, around you. And when you're entering it, it's amazing. But and it sees you, and it doesn't understand you. It sees you. You can walk right through it. I walked in right through, and it's just amazing because I'm studying it. I'm looking at people looking at me, and they're not looking at me. It's not, I don't know how to explain it. I can see it in their eyes. They see what they can't understand. And, it goes beyond the flesh, man, and it cracks me up because it's like, I'm like standing outside of myself watching me, and watching them. And it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like watching a movie, you know what I mean? And you, you see the confusion. It's a confusion, Well, that's the light they're looking at. It's the light. It's just, and it blinds them when they're not used to looking at it. Okay. But you are that, and when you walk into that darkness, it's like blinding. You know what I mean? It's like blinding, but they can't turn away. They can't turn away. It's like a train wreck. It's a terrible thing, but you can't take your eyes off of it. It's like, but it's kind of like that. but it attacks and it convicts. It convicts. You don't have to do nothing. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. I just walk in, just walk amongst it. And a lot with you people, you folks that are earth angels and workers of the light, and all that. It's the same thing. But I want to touch on something. Now, I walked into a room here very, very recent, and full of people, and it was same old thing, and mundane, kind of mundane, you know, uh, kind of mundane flow in there, and you know, and uh, so I walked in, and I mean, you start seeing people look your way, and uh, before you know it, you decide something. Okay, now I'm talking to you, workers of light that are the light. Okay, that understand a lot of this and what I'm saying. Uh, you decide whether you want to change the narrative of this room. Okay, and you can do it, and all you have to do is express love. That's it. All you got to do is express love because it's already shining. They're already noticing. I had a, I had a, I had a, I had a man and his wife, come up and uh, come up and told me 2 years ago, she's seen you. We have to know you. And I said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, we have to know you. It's something we have to know you. And I said, okay. So I met him and everything. And yeah, so what are you talking about 2 years ago? Well, 2 years ago, she seen you sitting on that couch over there. I said, okay. I said, 2 years ago, you've been watching me for 2 years or what? Well, they never forgot that. And what is that? You know what I mean? And I know what it is. It's that light. It's that essence, man. And it was impressive to me, but not to me. It was impressive to me for the light, in me. And I said, "Well, wow, that's an awesome confirmation," And I thank the spirit. You know what I mean? I give the glory where it goes. I don't need that glory, and but that was impressive. So, and there was a gentleman that was there with also with and I hadn't decided anything about changes this narrative of this particular room. And uh, there's a gentleman there with his wife and a daughter, and told me, she's depressed and been depressed over certain things, this and that. And I said, really, and right then, the spirit told me, okay, spirit told me, there you go, there's your job, So I knew automatically. I just knew it immediately. It was my job to forget anything else about me of what I was to do tonight or that day or at that moment, but to help this young lady come out of that depression. And there's no doubt that I can do it. There's no doubt. It's because of the light. I already know. I've been around a long time. I already know what I can do in the spirit. Okay, in the spirit. It's got nothing to do with an ego. Okay, this is the thing people need to step away from. It's got nothing to do with the ego. Many from the outsider be looking and thinking that. They let them think that, whatever they want to think, but don't let it affect you because you know what it is. And it's not an ego. I don't need that. I don't need to blow my ego up. I don't need to blow an ego to the point of I got to walk in arrogance and this and that. And this is, I don't need that. And a lot of people, they're going to accuse you of that, because they come from jealousies and selfishness and all kinds of negative stuff. But, when it comes down to the reality, it's what you're accomplishing, and that shows itself. That shows itself. That's what's important, not all this other stuff. What's important are the results of what you're going to do and what you're using the light to do. So, I mean, pretty soon, the whole room, everything had changed because there was so much love and light and kindness and attention that was given, and you got to sacrifice yourself. Okay, there's going to be people in your life that'll hold you back. You understand? And because they're selfish and they don't want to share you. Well, you were meant to be shared. You understand? But the thing I don't understand is how can you not allow this to happen when these people are needing it? They're needing it, and you have it. It's in you. I gave myself. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm yours, how can you not? How can you be so insecure? You, you I've handed myself to you, and I'm yours, but yet you won't let me express myself because you think you're losing something if I put out the love. I'm meant to do that. I am meant. You understand? Just like you people there, just like you folks, you people of light. That's what your mission is. That's what you're here for. Okay? You are meant to sacrifice yourself. You are meant to share yourself. Okay? And in love, man, and express that light. And that light touches people, but your body has to follow. Do you understand? Your body has to follow. You don't have to do anything, basically. The light does it, but you have to follow. This has to follow and back it. That's what makes it. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not expressing that right, but it's hard to explain. Some of you understand what I'm talking about, but that's what makes it. Do you understand me? But you can't take it from ego. You can't let it be your ego that, it's like three people. It's like three entities. The spirit of love, the body that backs it, and then your lack of ego. You understand? Your lack of self that backs the back to the light. You understand? So it's three. It's 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 a it's a triple impact. Do you understand me? But you got to make sure that it's not of ego that you do that. But some of you now, we're getting to the point here. Some of you, and I've noticed, and I don't think you're aware of it, and you're working so hard, okay? And you're a wonderful, and you may be an earth angel yourself, and I've met some of you, but I noticed something. Some of you now are working too hard, way too hard to be what you are, which gets that ego in the way. Okay. It gets that ego in the way, and it diminishes your light. So by the time you get to use the light, it diminishes, and people start looking at you more in the carnal than the light. You understand? So what your mission, you're effectively not completing or progressing in your mission, but you're getting notoriety. You understand? Which feeds that ego. So you're basically working backwards. Okay. So I've noticed this, and I hope some of you are hearing me, because I don't think you're quite aware, because you're coming from a good spot in your heart, but it's got you working backwards because you're not focusing on the light and let the light do the work, and you just follow. Do you understand? And keep your ego at bay so that you can back the backing to the light. Okay. I hope it makes some sense, because that's what makes it strong. Okay. You are going to benefit in any way you feel like you're going to benefit or want to benefit. You're going to, but you don't have to do anything. Don't do anything. Quit, trying to be that, that you're already that. Uh, but you'll see the change in people. That's what you want. And you can walk away, you know, at a certain time, the spirit will let you know. And you look back and it's just like, you know, I see it, and that's what actually does it. That's what seals it. As soon as you walk away, boom, it starts taking over because they don't realize when you're in front, it's too bright. It's too bright. You understand? Take a light and put it right up to your face. What can you see? Nothing but light. You understand? But let the light do the work, and then you pull that away. Then you see the picture. Okay, does that make sense? So you have to do that at some point, and then walk away. You know, you can come back, check on it if you want. But you can walk away. But you got to listen to the spirit. You can't do it on your own. If you're walking in the carnal and thinking, oh, I can't, because you're going backwards. Then it's feeding your own selfish wants and needs. Okay, and you gotta keep that out of it. So I felt that this morning, and I have to put this out because I think it'll help some of you. As I've noticed this in some of you light workers, and you're coming from a good place. It's just you're just working too hard. You don't have to do that. The light does it. You don't have to work so hard. You understand? You don't have to work so hard to be what you are. Don't quit trying to be what you are. But some get blown up in the head, and because you get notoriety, and you just move with the spirit wherever it moves. You just move with it, but don't start feeding you. You understand? When you start feeding you, then you're going backwards. You hear me? You feed the spirit. Let the spirit do the feeding outwardly. If that makes any sense. Okay. Um, and some of you are young in this. People always want to know. You know, if people ask me a question, and it's so difficult. Because they want to know. Dragon. How'd you get that name? But I can't answer that. It's not. There's no easy answer to that. There's so much involved in that, and it's not just a name to me. And whatever you guys, however you guys treat your spiritual powers is on you. But I know I do mine. And I recognize mine, and I stand behind mine, and I praise the Almighty. I praise the Source that gave it to me, and nothing can change me. Nothing's going to change it. Nobody can throw the shame on me. Nobody can throw guilt on me. Nobody can throw any of that on me. They all try, but there's a lot that try. Not they all, but there's a lot that try, and it's all out of jealousies and selfishness, and you know they want it. They want it. They want to. They think they come up close and talk all this. Manipulate me to give it up. I do what I do. If I want to give you some, I give you some. You know what I mean? If I want to give you a lot, I'll give you a lot. It's just up to me. But when you do, they think they got you. Oh, yeah. I told you he was weak. Yeah. The weak one is the ones that think that, but they find out sooner or later. You know, that's. But anyway, that's how you got to look at your power, people. And I mean, it's just my opinion, I guess. But I know the reality of it, and how's it working for you? You know what I mean? How's it working for you? And I mean, you can't bring anybody with you. I mean, you may have the strongest love of your life right next to you, but you can't bring them with you. If they're not with you, they're not with you. And you can't force it, and you can't bring them with you. But when you elevate, they're going to want you, and they're going to try to bring you back. You understand? There's people that are going to want to bring you back, and they can be family, it can be friends, it can be strangers, but they're going to want to bring you back because they can't elevate to you, even though that's where you were taking them. You were taking them there, and they somehow they stepped away. Well, it's, that's something you have no power over. You've got to keep going. You can't stop, you know. Um, and all you can do is advise them. And I mean, it's a shame, but you gotta, there's not much you can do about it. And that's just the power of the spirit. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to throw away the gold for a bucket of lead. You know what I mean? Uh, you can't do that, you know, and the gold is within you. The spirit is within you, you know. This is where people are starting to wake up to. And this is what we're trying to do. Wake you up to that. Quit trying to go. You don't have to quit. You don't have to stop, but quit relying on walking through a door of a building to find your power, okay? Because your power is within you. That building actually has power when you walk through it, okay? Instead of you walking through it for power, okay? It's already in you. You are the power. Uh, you know, I, it's it's an amazing thing to come to that reality. But you'll feel it and you'll know it. And if not, you wouldn't see the results. You see the results all around you. The spirit's working. You can go anywhere. You walk a ditch. I meet people everywhere where it just comes out, and the spirit just starts doing its work, and it helps them in that particular situation or that particular time. They may be having a mental thing going on. They may be having a physical thing going on. You know, uh, had a guy approach, man, that tried to interfere, and I know it was the demonic that sent it, the darkness sent it, to interfere in what I was doing with these wonderful people and what the light was doing. And here comes this guy, and interrupted, trying to confront me, and I'm in a whole different mode. I'm in a very loving and passive mode. Well, you know, there's I'm part of the dark side too. You know what I mean? I've got I walk with both in my life. So this guy comes up. I told him, hey man, just leave me alone. Back off. I'm busy. Just back off. Well, he didn't say nothing. He just give me attitude. One of these things. So you got to go on, man. So he walks off. He comes back again. I continue with these folks, these good people. And here he comes back again, and I mean, that's it. There was a time, that first time I would have took care of that. But here he comes again, and I stood up. Once I stand up, that's it. It's just a very, very short fuse after that, because I can see the attitude, and he's interrupting everything, and people start moving away because, they can see things, and they can feel it. I moved one lady away because she's too close, and this guy's wife. So I moved her away, and I said, step aside, because this guy, I don't know what he's going to do, but I had to stand up, and he's looking at me like, hey, well, what, like what, it's, I don't know, I'm waiting for a move here, so I finally got rid of him, I mean, I had to get rid of him, but I didn't go too crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty light, and they usually are, it's just, I don't know. You're always going to have it. You're always going to have this negative come in and try to interrupt in the light and try to dim it and try to dim you. It's, the demonic is constantly working against you, people. So be careful with that, but handle it, and you can show aggressiveness when it's necessary, but handle that aggressiveness, it can get very ugly, and that shouldn't be necessary anymore, because you do have that protection. Okay. But you do have some moves you need to make. Okay. Sometimes, and, you have to have the cojones to do it. Okay. So just like that. And then you got to have the derriere, use a lighter word, to back the cojones. You understand me? And It should be in your eyes. Um, you draw the line. That's it. No more. Okay. And you can only take so much disrespect. All right. That's what I mean by sacrificing yourself. Um, we have to do it. We have to sacrifice ourselves, but be intelligent about it, man. Be, be militant, like the military, you know what I'm saying? What are we losing here? We're losing light here. Why are we doing that? Why are we losing light? Hang on a second. Uh, Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We just kind of went dark there for a minute. See, that darkness, actual darkness came in and tried to interrupt. You see what I'm saying? That's all right. Stupid little tricks, stupid little tricks. You just got to rise above it. But that was interesting. You see what I'm talking about? You tell me it's not spiritual. Tell me what we're doing is not spiritual. Right now, what we're doing is not spiritual. Talking about darkness setting in, and look what it did. Out of the blue, it just, you know, darkened up my screen. Trying to interrupt, and but it can't take my focus. So when you repel that darkness, be careful, and it's going to take a certain amount of aggressiveness. Okay, so just make sure you back it in the proper way. There was a time I would have went off in a whole different way, and it would have been dark, real dark, and it's not necessary. And it's not necessary. You carry more power than that. You know, because I myself thought that was the power, and sure, it's a power, but it's not in comparison to the light. It's nothing. It's nothing. Okay, because it carries conviction, like I've said before, and the word says, it's a two-edged sword, and a two-edged sword. Look at this, a two-edged sword. This is why the Lord says His word is a two-edged sword. It cuts in, going in, and it cuts coming out. So it goes in, it cuts going in, loosens everything up, and then it cuts coming out, takes it out with it. You understand me? So it goes in for the darkness and brings it out. It's a two-edged sword. Is it right? Okay. It's awesome. It's an awesome feeling, man. It's an awesome feeling, and all you got to do is you know, block the rest so that you can penetrate. Whap, throw your block and penetrate. Bam, and throw that blow. Cuts in, going in and coming out. At the same time you block. Whap, and that's it. You understand what I'm saying? It's a definite art, and it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate. So don't try to be what you are. Quit trying to be what you are. Don't work so hard at it, because when you work so hard at it, you start feeding the flesh. You understand? Because the ego gets in the way. So don't work so hard at it. Just let it be. All you got to do is follow and back it. Just follow in.